It is Thursday. RawMikeRichards.com, broadcasting live from the DKI studios in downtown Toronto, 234 King Street East, the Pacific Junction Hotel. Coming up today, prop bets and lots of them. And there's some weird stuff out there. I got to admit it. I don't normally do a lot of prop bets, but I'm feeling desperate these days. I think I'm in trouble. So maybe I'll take a look at it, including something I would never, like the dogs versus cats game, the Team Rough versus Team Fluff. So we'll get to that.
It's a competitive matchup. Those two teams hate each other.
How do they do? There's a history there, so what you say?
Big rivalry going back way before we were even on this earth.
Wow, I wasn't aware of that. Also, we'll take a look at, I think it's, I was trying to find stuff from Amendola, but I think it's Julian Edelman from high school. You won't believe what you see. I love looking at this stuff, and apparently you do too. I see that our good friend Alex Marvez particularly enjoyed the Tom Brady recruitment reel. Sort of crazy to look at what these guys were about when they were in high school. Some of them, honestly, it was a natural for who they were, what they were about, to go to a big-time college program. I have Johnny Manziel in high school. And to be honest, the way it looks in this reel was kind of the way it looked at Texas A&M. There's a reason why we know him as Johnny Football before the problems set in, before the dark clouds seeped into his life. You going to see Christian McCaffrey? Oh, my God. Just a stud in high school and has carried it on. Always loved the way that guy plays. And I think for a rookie year, I thought he had a pretty good year, Dave. I mean, you can use him in a lot of different ways, and I think he's one of these guys used properly. There's so much you can do with a McCaffrey, whether he comes out of the backfield. I don't know, you can use him like a slot, and he is just like a Superman. I like the guy's action. I'm not a huge Carolina Panther guy. I don't know if it's just a slight disdain for Cam sometimes how he plays, or the fact that I look at that team and think that maybe they should be better than what they are, but for some reason, the Panthers, there's something
laziness. That's what that team is.
Yeah, there's something that just bugs me about them.
Yeah, no, I agree. And a lot of times when you're betting on games, you almost sit there and with certain teams you go, they did it again to me.
Yeah,
Maybe the Panthers kind of fit into that category in a couple different ways for us.
Who's the team that you look at no matter who they play during the week? And we all have them. And you see them on the schedule. And you want to gamble. You have to gamble. But you see them on there and you're like, oh, is that the team for you? Panthers are in there? Because the Arizona Cardinals, I don't play any games that they're involved in.
You know what's
Ever.
funny? You know what's
Ever.
funny? The Pittsburgh Steelers and my trust for them on the road.
Last year was brutal.
Last couple of years.
Yeah.
Ben Roethlisberger, if you actually look up his win-loss record, the difference between Ben at home, Ben on the road, night and day. But a lot of times you sit there and you go, Pittsburgh at Cleveland. It's at Cleveland. They're playing Cleveland.
Yeah.
They should hammer Cleveland.
Once again, the other team, Cleveland.
Yeah, the other team, Cleveland. And Pittsburgh wins by 7 points, but the spread was 10.
Yeah, they were
really.
They were
the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, they were a very difficult team to touch. Over the years, it was Seattle for me. It didn't matter if it was the Alexander days or it wouldn't have mattered. They would always find a way. Like literally, you go, okay, I'm going to take both sides. There was the game was a tie game the first time in 20. You know what I mean? They find a way to F and screw you. That's what I don't like about Seattle. I see that
Seattle has played in tie games.
Yes, they have.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, they found. What do you mean? What do you mean?
6-6 against the Cardinals.
I took it both. Yeah, and the Cardinals involved. The team I said never touch. So because I'll be honest, you want to be greedy. People over the years have been greedy with New England. But you got to be really careful with them. There was that one year, I think like in 2001, when they go in that massive, we'll never lose a game. They were getting, it was minus 16s, 17s, 18s in some of those games. Like, this isn't college. But They were still getting these, every weekend it was a double digit. And you're like, okay, do they cover? Are they going to win by 3 touchdowns? I'd have to go back to 2001 and see exactly what they were total-wise, how many games over, under, just to see exactly kind of how many times they won or you bet against them on the dog. But, that's the thing. New England has created that culture of winning. So when it comes to a Super Bowl, and now we see that number is now 4.5. Where's the?
It keeps on dropping.
Is there dramatic music? Is there
drop?
Let's see what this is. This is
droppity drop.
This is
So it opened at 6.5, and then it's been sinking like a stone.
Because once it gets down to a certain point, I think I'm going to feel like I'm going to want to jump on New England just out of.
I'm waiting for a little bit more. Tomorrow we'll quiz Phil Gray. He'll be in this same spot. And I'll sit there and say, you got to tell me what it's going to be on Sunday. And if you're wrong, you're going to pay for it.
Philip Gray, out of the University of Montreal, played for the Montreal Carabins as a slot back. And historically, one of the worst players to ever hit the football field.
It's true.
And then the charges of break and enter. It was an abomination. Philip Ray Gray. A disgrace to the world. And yet, finding himself years later with sports interaction. I've got to tell you, Dave.
You're ruining a perfectly good promo for tomorrow.
The man makes me sick. And the stunning comeback of his sister, Sasha Gray, right there, performing the ski poles like nobody else. And that's the way it is, Dave.
Yeah, the Gray siblings are athletes in every sense of the word. Love it. Go Gray.
Now, hold on. I know that roast beef is probably just going, wait a minute. What's all this stuff about? What's this football about? I don't like football. Oh, yeah. The Toronto Maple Leafs. Oh, baby. They were dominant. Boy, the Islanders. If you look at John Tavares, he's like,
it's like I can't wait to get off the island.
I gotta leave. I can't do this.
Tavares, voted off the island.
And do you see people responding to the Dave Bastel?
Did they?
Yeah, okay. Sure they did.
Good. I know Coach Frank did because he always tries to take over the show.
He does. This is not agree or disagree with Coach Frank. I think you're missing the point on this one.
and he's not going to sign for $10.5 million anywhere.
But Cobb, and
really.
This thing was not close.
The Islanders did not show up, and the Leafs dominated. Had a nice efforts, and you know what? Frederick Anderson goes out of his net and stops sure thing icing calls. He's going to get the shutout, right? So, congrats.
I think Russell, that was a little backhanded. What do you think? You were excited last night? Because let's face it, you went to the game. You paid $80 for tickets, and you were a winner.
Big money.
Yeah, it was $80 well spent. Had a good night. Freddie played pretty well. I mean, he didn't have too
many. Did you just say Freddie? Okay. No, go continue. No, sorry. No, you're close.
He didn't have too many shots. Is that what you're saying?
Too many shots
or
too many difficult shots, really. But, I mean, he stopped them all from going in, so can't complain.
He could have sat there with a Coke in his hand and still managed to shut out. What a terrible effort.
Did you
By the Islanders.
Yeah, of course. Did you have a couple of drinks? Did you get anything? Did you meet anyone?
Had a couple drinks. Yeah.
How was the Sprite?
It was great. It was great. Very lemon lime.
I was going to suggest how was the tap water in the sink?
No, you $80 tickets. Where'd they put you at the ACC? Like that, I don't know.
I was in the purples, row 14, so not too bad. Like kind of.
Like who's up there? Like what kind of?
Coach Frank just texts us, you think he signs for more than $11 million? I love you.
Yeah, still going.
I love you.
Yeah. So are we saying John Tavares is a Maple Leaf? Have we seen this?
Yeah, we're seeing.
I hope so.
I do too. I think it'd be great.
It'd be great.
We're gonna do a show
from 91 ready for him, right? 91 is ready for him with the big fat C on the front. Well, that's the guy you want being the captain of this team.
And of course,
when they're parading around this city with the Eastern Conference trophy in June because they bow out in the Stanley Cup final, I want John Tavares holding that trophy.
Well, there also was I don't know if it's a big story necessarily, but some guys got their okay, enough of this music. Got their first goals last night. I mean, that must have been exciting, don't you think, for the Leafs, those young guys?
Well, when you have your fathers in the stands, it was a nice moment. You have to think that so when you look back at time, one of those moments you never ever forget, and you don't want to talk about that because he never exactly ever scored an NHL goal, but he is the head coach of the Toronto Maple Leafs. We bring on to the set Mike Babcock, congratulations on the big win, and a couple of nice storylines for yesterday's 5-0 shutout against the Islanders.
Well, I think it was, Davey. You know, I think you take a look at the two young kids there, and they come up as professionals, and they done good. And you know, it's not often you get a chance to score your first NHL goal. So with the dads up there, and you know what they did, I think it was a nice family moment.
So so was there tears on the bench or in the crowd?
I have to be honest. I looked down and I seen some tears there, and I thought to myself, that makes me sick to my stomach. What a bunch of pussies. I mean,
you don't want that kind of
it's just
soft player on your team?
It's called the National Hockey League. It's called the Toronto Maple Leafs. It's not an episode of This Is Us. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's just, you know, those two kids, Hole and McDermott. I barely even know who they are. I mean, I had to look down and go, who scored? Who was that? Because I know it wasn't Roman Pollock. I know that.
No. But you would have celebrated if he would have scored. I know you.
Yeah, I do like his. You know, I do like the guy as a person. But you know, when you look at his resume and you see the teams he played for previously,
Yep.
He played in Shittsville and
He did.
in Cacatown and Cockville.
And he wasn't even the best player at that time.
He wasn't.
Did the Islanders?
Stinkston. He was from Stinkston.
Yeah. The Islanders had had one player that looked like he showed up. He had 5 shots on goal. Happens to be a free agent in July, and his name is John Tavares. I know you got to tread the line very, very carefully here, but would your team have interest in this guy if he is a free agent?
Oh, I got to have him. Oh. I said to Lou last night, I said, holy Christ, look at how good he's looking in Toronto. And, you know, his family in Oakville, his uncle's a great lacrosse player.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know that. And his name's also John Tavares. But I said, holy shit, I'd get rid of half the losers on my team to do it. I don't think I think we all understand it's about winning. And we got to do that. And if we got Tavares, that's a winner right there.
Well, thanks for doing this. Good luck.
Unless he won't be crying. Oh, look, I got a goal. You know?
You won't know.
No.
Even if he scores his first goal as a Leaf, no crying?
No, I bet he's making love to some hot chick on the bench, which I like to. I go to peepers.com. I can't stay away from it. It's beautiful.
It's a good site.
Hey, thanks, Davey. Good job.
Thanks, Mike. Maple Leafs, by the way, in New York tonight. They have a back-to-back against the 2 New York teams, but they happen to be traveling overnight. Madison Square Gardens, Rangers, Maple Leafs, back-to-back tonight.
There's a team right now, I heard, was it Milbury was talking about it, about some sort of turnaround. Do you have any faith at all in the Rangers?
No.
I don't. I think that franchise is. Right now, in terms of who they have playing for them, that window of opportunity for what they've got.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not going to talk about Henrik Lundqvist every single game, and he's getting older too. He's not going to stop anything. I think that run is over.
I think that run's over. I think they're the kind of team that if they sneak into the playoffs, they'll get swept up in 4 games.
I agree.
It's almost like, okay, well, thanks for coming, but here's the T-shirt, your playoff spot, over.
Yeah, there's some teams where I'm supposed to take them.
And you know what?
Seriously,
Mike? And they have a 25-20 record, right? So when you look at it, it's not a bad record, but they don't look like that type of team. Like they don't sit there and go, "Whoa, this team scares me." No, it doesn't.
No, I don't. Why would you? I mean, there's got to be a threat of some kind. And you know, when you break down teams where their strength is, whether it's up the middle, you talk about the key players to have in certain positions. Do they have that? You know, do they have the shutdown wing? Like all those things that you go through. The what do they have on D? So if we're taking a look at that right now, a team that I don't think. And it's certainly not by the points the best team like, but the Boston Bruins might be a little nasty, I think, when it comes to the playoffs. I don't know if you want to play them.
No, I don't think you do either. I think the Boston Bruins are the best team in the Atlantic Division, and I think the Bruins would take care of the Lightning or the Maple Leafs if the playoffs were to start today. That could change. I know, like injuries happen, situations where you go up and down with the schedule, but if the Tampa Bay Lightning don't watch out, the Bruins are going to surpass them for top spot in the Atlantic, and then who knows what happens, because then you get that wild card matchup with the Bruins. The Maple Leafs would have to play the Lightning. That's a tough matchup. I actually look at that Lightning Maple Leaf matchup as a better matchup for the Maple Leafs than if the Maple Leafs had to play the Bruins in the first round. Even though the Lightning do come across as high octane, I think there's some mistakes that can be made with that Lightning team, and I don't know if I see that with the Boston Bruins.
This is a tough one to call this year if we're talking about the East right now, because I take a look at teams like Washington, and the first thing you say to yourself is, okay,
Yeah, next.
Like, you've got Pittsburgh. How many years can you be good? I mean, it truly is remarkable. But do I think Pittsburgh would lose to Boston? I do.
Mm-hmm.
Like, Boston, I think, is going to be a tough out. Teams like Columbus, every year, it's weird to say that Columbus is a sexy pick because no one's ever putting that sentence together. But that being said, what Columbus has had over the last couple of years, there are people, and there are pundits out there who are kind of waiting for them to make that next step into really what we're talking when we're talking about the elite of that conference. Are they there? Can we say they're an elite team?
I'm not going to say they are elite, but I'm going to say they're a team that could damage somebody's playoff hopes. They're a team that if they're in a wild card spot, which, by the way, they are as of today,
right.
I don't think it's going to be there at the end of the year, but they are there right now, they could upend the top seed, depending on who that is. Columbus is the type of team, too.
Because can Columbus beat Tampa Bay in a 7-gamer?
Yeah, I think they can. When they're healthy. They've had some injury problems, and even like a guy like Brandon Dubinsky, like he's a royal pain in the ass, and I think you throw him on against the first line, whoever it is. If it's Crosby, we've seen those matchups before. If it's Stamkos, we've seen those matchups not as often as the Crosby ones. But I think the Blue Jackets have the right goaltending, the right system, and the right grinding type team with enough offense that they could make some noise. New Jersey doesn't scare me at all. Philadelphia doesn't scare me at all. Washington, I when that month turns and it's April.
Well, you just don't have faith in it. It's hard to.
Sorry.
You're at that point to make a really bizarre parallel. You're like a Calgary Stampeder fan.
Yeah.
You're just going really. So that's the finals, or is that the cup? Because call me.
Yeah.
When the cup is being raised, otherwise we're not interested.
No, and
it's a tough sell.
And you know what? Growing up in the '90s, or just in that generation, that was an Atlanta Braves fan, because it's nice getting to the postseason in 90, 91, 92, but by 93, 94, it's like, wait a second, they have a playoff game and there's still empty seats. Well, yeah, because you're getting sick and tired of the same old routine of bowing out when you're the better team, when you have a 4-man rotation that's better than most Hall of Fames.
Like, don't you think?
And you still find a way of losing.
And that's the only way to put it when you talk about that pitching staff. So is it a fail with that pitching staff that they had in the 90s?
100%.
That they didn't do what they could have done?
100%.
Okay. Winnipeg?
Yep. Looking good.
Did you see
good matchup tonight?
Did you see
Vegas,
the tweet from Viking Ted? I think it was sarcastic.
I didn't. Tell me more.
I believe.
Oh boy, here we go. Was it today or when was it?
I think it was. It was today.
See, I barely read the mentions. I should start reading that more often.
Where did it go? Of course, now there's 9 million tweets and I can't find
it. Did he tag me in
Ted
it?
Nesbitt.
Okay.
Viking Ted from Blade Tape.
Yes.
Mike. So it's ... Mike. Maybe ask Dave Bastel where Line A is on this list. It's I guess Jonas Siegel did the only 3 players in 30 years scored more even strength goals after their first 124 NHL games than Austin Matthews. And Ted Nesbitt said, asking for a friend.
Oh. Was he the same guy that was asking for a friend yesterday about Rochelle Ryan?
Named, and then it goes on, named Russ Graham.
Interesting.
Seems to be a little bit of
friend named Russ Graham. I know a Russ Graham.
Yeah, there is.
But it is a popular name, so.
Asking for a friend.
Interesting. Well, you know what?
Is Winnipeg hanging on to this thing? What are they doing?
Yeah, absolutely they do. And you know what, Viking Ted, you're lucky I like you. And I don't sarcastically say something really mean right now. I'm just joking.
You know what's going to be weird for some guys of a certain age going, Chicago, last place.
Yeah, that's really weird.
Like for years that you've seen it, Chicago, last place.
Yeah. By the way, Austin Matthews and Patrick Laine have the same amount of goals this year. One's a power play specialist with an incredible release. The other one's a little bit of a, soft.
The other one's played 10 less games than the other.
Soft. Same thing last year.
It was.
Laine played 10 less games than Austin Matthews. That's the reason why he won a Calder Trophy. Because one guy wasn't around for 10 less games. So, I mean, turnabout is fair play.
Pacific Division with a goal differential of plus 38. Ladies and gentlemen, your Vegas Golden Knights.
They're going to fall. They're going. No, I'm getting tired.
It's February. It is February the 1st.
They will lose in the first round. The Vegas Golden Knights will lose in the first round. They're not winning anything.
See, you're just mad saying that.
Yeah, I know. And you know, I even have a Vegas bet. I even have
Do
a
you?
Vegas bet.
Oh,
I got
nice.
them at 130 to 1 on Sports Interaction before, and I did it as a joke. And I did 2 joke bets. I bet Josh McCown MVP of the NFL at 200 to 1 as a joke, and I also bet the Las Vegas Golden Knights, however you want to call them, as a joke.
To do what?
To win the Stanley Cup.
What was the number?
130 to 1.
That's it?
That's
oh,
it.
come on.
No, that was it. We'll talk to Gray tomorrow. Gray knows about Gray.
That should be 1,000. When did you bet? Like into the season? Was the season started? Before the season started?
No, this was in like late August. Yeah.
And it was 130?
Yeah, they were
It should have been 1,000 to 1.
They were the lowest ranked team. You could ask Gray about this because he bugs me to this day going, you're going to cash that ticket. I'm like, I only bet a couple bucks. It's not like, just like my Tiger Woods prop that I hit 70 to 1. I only bet $1, so I only won $70. It wasn't much. It was a fluke.
But still, a team that's never been in the league before.
Yes.
An expansion team. It's like saying, so what are the Browns to win the Super Bowl next year? Got to be more than 130 to 1. And they're in the league.
They're in the league. Yeah, exactly.
So it's got to be 300 or 400.
I don't know if there's but you know what? They're very careful with some of these. Let me just see.
They're
here.
cheap. I don't mind saying that. Cheap. Phil. Nice job. That's why you get the Howard Cosell thing up the top.
They don't have any props right now for futures. Futures actually happens like, okay, Super Bowl's on the 6th. There'll be a future list on the 7th.
Yeah, I would think
so. Yeah, it always comes. And New England will be your favorites and, all those, the usual suspects, right?
Before we get to some of those prop bets, yesterday you saw when we put out a reel of what coaches do, what athletes do. As I said, it's an industry unto itself when you start figuring, just the ways now that you can get materials to, all the universities that you want to go to or that you think might be interested in your athlete services. So they go to these companies and they make up these in the old days, it was just like cut literally really shaky videotape that a mom would take at a game, or back in the day it was film. Like where are you getting film? So you had to actually go and see these guys. You probably had to travel to Mud Hen, Missouri to see.
Good place.
Right? You just didn't even know. But when you look at those, the stuff from Tom Brady was really interesting yesterday. But what about some of the other ones? Now, Johnny Manziel, who has been a story probably since he played high school football in Texas, since he was at Texas A&M and became Johnny Football, and then of course, just immediately after words, you see the personal disaster, you see charges by the police, then the partying, the whole thing, and then the absolute disaster of what happened with his attempt in the National Football League, and then it kind of continues. The Hamilton Tiger Cats, they go into these negotiations with the CFL. As soon as Vince McMahon says, I'm bringing back the XFL, he starts tweeting, like all of a sudden that's the league for him. And then with a matter of minutes, Vince McMahon says anyone with charges, anyone with any those kind of background, you're out. So publicly, he's literally squashed in seconds. But when you see the way that he carried himself as an athlete going back to high school in Texas, and this is courtesy of a website, or at least where it comes from off of YouTube, I found it. It's called Texas HD. So this is basically Texas high school football. The way that he looks and composes himself in high school, I got to be honest, at Texas A&M, it kind of looked very similar. There's a reason why Johnny Football was so attractive to those that wanted to see him go to the greatest of heights. Because when you see the film, it's hard to say that he wasn't dominant of that time. And again, it's only high school. But just the relative ease that he made this position look, I understand why you'd bite. Just stepping around, Dave, moving the pocket around. Watch how easy it looks. Take it up the middle. I mean, you see this time and time again. Even at A&M, he did this. It's easy. Here he comes again. I mean, those moves get into the end zone. I mean, that is legitimate talent. Now, you can't do that in the pros. You can get away with some of that stuff in college. But you can see why that people were really attracted to Johnny Football. And there's another guy because, here's why when kids come from wealthy families, whether those things are true or not. Joe Colburn, when he comes out of the University of Denver, the Denver Pioneer, his dad was a pretty good quarterback at UFC, University of Calgary here in Canada, and he went on to go in the oil and gas industry. So he had money. There were some guys, upon seeing him in the league, so Boston is his first team.
Yes, drafted by.
Well, he was getting compared to Joe Thornton. I always hate when guys do that because he's not Joe Thornton.
No.
And you also
not too many people are.
no,
Yeah.
And then of course there's the actual build. I mean, it's hard for Joe to just put on weight. His other sisters, like they were all Division I, Grade A athletes and fantastic human beings. But one of the write-ups from a lot of the Central Scouting, be careful, he comes from money, insinuating that his work ethic wouldn't be there. And sometimes
Yes.
it may be true. But it's one of those cautionary sort of notes that some of these athletes have to put up with. But there was Johnny Manziel, and you just saw what he did. What, you wouldn't pay to see that? And that's, of course, how legend starts. He started to buy his own legend,
Bingo.
and then the ship sinks.
So let me ask you this: Russell comes from serious money. Is he gonna?
Well, that is very surprising to me.
Is he gonna eventually turn on us, or what? What's,
Oh, well, he will turn on us.
Yeah.
But that's just out of his jealousies and.
So you're expecting it?
No. Oh, I know.
Okay,
so,
so
well,
you
you've seen sometimes all of a sudden yesterday the mics were on the wrong pots of the level.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
He goes, "Oh, did I do that? Sorry."
And then he's like this, and he rubs his chin and goes,
Yeah. Have you seen the little dolls with the pins in them in his front seat that look like you and me? Oh yeah. No, it goes on. Let's take a break here from reality and go to the not reality of prop bets.
All right.
And music provided again by this guy who he is so good at terrible music.
That's a good thing, though.
But this is something that we like to call Raw Prop Bets, brought to you by Sports Interaction. Sports Interaction. It's fun for the family. All right, so the Puppy Bowl.
Puppy Bowl.
I've never
So
seen
it's
this.
dog versus dog. I've seen this.
I've never seen this.
Team Fluff against Team Rough. Team Fluff are the favorites.
Why are they favorites over dogs?
I don't
get that
no,
part.
Well, no. It's two sets of dogs. It is the Puppy Bowl. So it's dog versus dog.
Okay. See,
Yeah.
I've never seen this.
So here's the thing. When you're in the kind of situation like this, just like an all-star game, when you have two of the same and you don't know you can't truly, gauge the outcome, you always go underdog in this situation. So my money's on Team Rough. Take Team Rough and the 205 if you're betting the Puppy Bowl this Sunday.
Yeah, my dog Riley would probably be Team Fluff.
Well,
and
then he'd be a favorite.
Well, yeah, he'd be a favorite, all right. He'd really stand out. There's Riley Richards, and it appears right now he's more interested in eating his own shit. Steve?
Oh, shit. I did not know that.
Right you are, Tom. Disgusting.
The Puppy Bowl. Yeah, it's one of the many things that you can bet on.
What about the coin toss? I've never done that.
I've done,
It's 50. I mean, you're burning money. It's 50-50.
You are burning money,
Yeah.
but you know what? Isn't that what the Super Bowl is all about?
Yeah, yes, it is. Yeah, absolutely it is.
So here we go with the Super Bowl coin toss. There's 4 different bets. You first off can go Patriots to win, Eagles to win. They're both even. Like, you just pick a side. Heads or tails? Are you a heads guy or a tails guy? Traditionally,
Heads. As I was a captain, I was always heads.
I'm a heads guy too.
Yeah, always heads.
I'm a big time heads guy. Now here's where it gets a little specific. Team to win the coin toss also wins the game. So if you're thinking, what, the Eagles are going to win the coin toss and lose the game, or the Patriots going to win the coin toss and win the game, so you have a yes/no proposition as well. And then, of course, will a team choosing heads and tails be correct? So there's 4 bets. I know.
Because so the Super Bowl halftime show. So this is the Justin Timberlake thing.
There's 7 bets on this one right now. Yeah.
Will he wear a hat or not at the start?
Traditionally, he does wear a hat during his concerts, from what I understand, because I've done the research on this. But off the start is the tough part.
You did research on it.
It's the tough part.
Now it starts.
So, see, that's the tough part, where they throw in that idea of at the start. So when everybody goes, ladies and gentlemen, Justin Timberlake, and he goes out there and he has to be wearing a hat at that time. My gut would say yes. And it could be multiple hat changes, but that's not a prop. Will NSYNC reunite for the halftime show? 100% equivocally no. They will
No.
not. It's a very hard no. These guys are too, well, half of them don't have any talent. The other half are at the Mandarin at the local buffet. Justin Timberlake's the only significant member of that half-ass band that's done anything, and he's done everything, basically. Wardrobe malfunction. Absolute hard no. There will not be any shenanigans going on at this one just because Timberlake has done this before and somebody came up to him, grabbed him by the throat and said, listen, Timber, whatever your name is, no malfunctions. No wardrobe malfunctions.
I'm like, because the one thing that people are talking about, okay, I got to find this music because it's driving me nuts. I don't know. I don't know where it's coming from now. I can't stop it.
Want me to keep on going?
Hey, what is this?
Color of Justin Timberlake's shoes at the start. Now, white is the favorite, followed by black. But there's a couple other ones that kind of go off the stage. Now, if you're thinking nationalism, USA, red is paying 17-1, blue is paying 10-1. Might be other possibilities, right? Depends on what the rest of that outfit looks like, but I would completely stay away from that. I don't have a feel for it at all. What kind of shoes he has off the start.
Yeah, it's like, what's his first song going to be? I don't know any of his songs.
Yeah, well.
Does he sing in the Still of the Night? No. Whitesnake does.
Yeah.
Does he sing Deuce? No. Kiss does. Is he going to sing Closer to the Heart? No. That's Rush. So therefore, Can't Stop. Okay.
Can't Stop the Feeling is rated as the number one song that they think could be. I'd go off the board in these situations. I wouldn't go Sexy Back because it's a little old. Filthy is the name of his new song that you actually hear on the radio. I know this because I have 2 young daughters. And they listen to bebop music because it has that. They don't know who this Justin Timberlake is, but they listen to that type
It's not
of
that I
music.
hate the guy. I don't think he's talented. It's just not my thing.
Exactly.
It's just not my thing.
Crimea River, too slow. What goes around, kind of, it's almost like a stab at an ex-girlfriend song. You're not playing that.
He's got a hot girlfriend, doesn't he?
No, he has a hot wife.
Is that Jessica Biel?
Is it Jessica Biel or Al? It's one of the Jessicas.
No, it's Jessica Biel.
Is it Biel
or
Alba?
it's Biel.
Yeah?
No.
Okay.
He did well. You can't take that. Look, a guy does well. It's like Rick Ocasek.
Yeah.
He gets Paulina Porzakova.
Yeah,
You got to give it to him. Give it to
Exactly.
him. Absolutely.
Exactly.
Now, if I'm looking at the national anthem, this is kind of interesting. We sort of take a look because it varies depending on the style of singing. So if Pink gets up there, does it go over 2 minutes or not? Because that's around the average. They're saying anywhere between like about $1.40 and change and let's say a minute 57. Now, if you're Aretha Franklin, you crushed that a couple of years ago during the Thanksgiving Day game in Detroit, almost 5 minutes.
Yeah, she was showing off.
So you're hanging on some notes.
Now, if this is country singer Luke Bryant, this thing's over in $1.30.
Oh, because some people just don't want to go and hang on those notes.
Bingo.
Is Pink someone who does the like? Is she one of those?
I'm going to say
I don't
no.
know.
I'm going to say no. I'm going to say this goes under the number, but I also want to talk to Phil Gray about this because a lot of times it says total singing time, so that doesn't mean any kind of instrumental at the end or the beginning. And where do you judge where she goes free and the home of the break click? When does it end? Do you know what I mean?
I'd pay a lot of money to see Dave Baston hit those notes that he just did right now in center field anywhere.
For prop, I do have a stopwatch, and I will not be singing. I will be clicking.
Like you're going to trust Dave. He's going to be sitting there as the guy singing, and the that prick. He's going. He's saying all those notes to go over.
I would be throwing stuff out.
How about Taking the Knee? Do you see that?
I can't see that happening. Does Pink come across as the type of person that would take a knee during the national anthem?
Are we showing pictures of Pink? Are we showing pictures of Pink as we go? Because I don't even know.
No, we're showing pictures of me, and I am not Pink.
Why?
Yeah, so yes is heavy, 375 against a Noah, 122. Will Pink forget a note or omit a note, a word?
No,
I don't think so either.
She won't forget or omit. I don't believe, but
because people have in the past.
But it's a 375 if she takes a knee. And she's one of those. She seems like the type of person, like it truly is in the artistic crowd, the more left-wing type thinking, the more supportive, more liberal-minded. I think even just for the sake that it's a 375, why wouldn't you do that?
Gamble.
Like why? I mean, that's just you're just going after the bigger payout.
Okay, let me ask you this. So let's just say hypothetically the national anthem is 2 minutes, right? 2 minutes even. There's a special prop on here at sportsinteraction.com. A scoring drive takes less time than the anthem. Yes is paying a $195. No is paying $277. So the national anthem, 2 minutes. Is there going to be a scoring drive?
It takes less than 2 minutes.
Yeah. I'm guessing scoring drive, it has to be a touchdown. You can't sit there and say scoring drive is a field goal, can you? That's not fair.
I'm going yes.
I think it's a good bet, yes.
Because, if you say you get the ball midfield.
Oh, yeah. If Tom Brady gets the ball midfield with say the 2 minute warning.
Well, the 2 minute drill, same thing.
He's going to do it. And he's going to do it with time on the clock, which would mean less than 2 minutes, which is your hit on the prop.
Oh, I'm taking it 195. That's
it's an interesting prop, though, right? Because you kind of got to figure out where you want to go with things.
Okay, as we continue on, we're going to come back to the excitement of Raw Prop Bets, brought to you by Sports Interaction. Sports Interaction. Well, I got nothing there.
Good music, though.
The looking back. So Julian Edelman.
Yes.
Right. It's always perceived that the professional athlete, so in football, was always looked a certain way. And for the most part, unless you have some of those physical attributes, you may get into a college, maybe it's a Div 2 or 3, you don't know. It's really hard to tell. But if you made it as a pro, sometimes there's a misconception that everyone looked the same way. Well, I can tell you, teaching high school football, especially if it's junior varsity, kids change. Now, Julian Edelman was never going to be 6'4" and 210 pounds. I give you that. But do you ever wonder then, playing junior varsity? So we're talking, 10th grade in there somewhere? What would that look like? Also, is it the same position that we know that he plays as a pro? For Julian Edelman, it is not. And when you really figure out which guy he is, that this guy goes on to play for the New England Patriots. If you're in the stands and you take a look at this, you're at this game, and you say, excuse me, do you realize number one? Yeah. He's going to play for the New England Patriots. He's going to win a Super Bowl. That kid? Yeah. This is the reason why. Take a look.
Watch the middle, all right? I got 11, Ed. Watch the pass. Go. Hey, Bud. Watch the pass. Isaac, you better jack him at the line.
Number 1 quarterback Julian Edelman, under center calling signals.
Watch it.
That's him at quarterback.
And I'll begin.
Isn't that crazy? He's playing quarterback. He's got to be 5 foot.
Nothing.
And look, kids, the growth is different. Look at this. Number 1, Julian Edelman. Look at him next to the lineman, junior varsity.
Busted play in the backfield.
But this is the challenge
That's
that you
a
have.
terrible offensive line. Too.
But he's in there going, oh my God! Look at him compared to the rest, and this is junior varsity. So something happens between now and then, and we know what it is. But take a look at this.
Get back! Get back! Run!
Off again around the right side.
Amazing. Now, you can go on, you can find this, obviously.
Interesting that the public address announcer is calling the play while it happens.
Well, I think that's the Potsy Weber.
I was going to say.
When he used to do the basketball games for Richie, he goes, he's bouncing the ball. He's bouncing the ball again. Potsy. But would you believe that you're sitting there and you're Mr. Edelman and you come from, and I'm Dave Bastel from the future.
Never.
And your son will play in the NFL.
There's a wide receiver.
Hey, Mr. Edelman, go away. Hey, Bison.
My son's an accountant.
Yeah, come on. But this is the beauty of that game of football. There's heart in there somewhere. And, of course, all you had to do was maybe put him on the outside. Not throwing the ball, but catching the ball. And then sort of the rest is history. But I think I find this stuff to be fascinating. Taking a look at some of the topics as we get a little closer to the Super Bowl, you have the Patriots basically saying Brady can decide when he's going to quit, when he calls it quits. But I got news for people. I don't know how shocking this would be. If you're Tom Brady at this point, is there anything that tells me, aside from personal issues, which you really never know about unless you're friends with the Bradys, why would you quit? You're going to Super Bowl. You have a chance to actually win the Super Bowl. Now, this is not one of the better Patriots teams, Dave.
No,
I mean, if
no,
I'm
no.
looking at all those teams that go there, I mean, they're so good. And they are so good that you're comparing Patriots versus Patriot teams.
Bingo.
That's how many times they've been there.
Yeah.
So in comparison, is this one of the best teams? No, this might be one of the weak. They are vulnerable, I think, in certain areas of their game, especially on defense.
Yeah, especially, and a lot of people forget, because it was probably about 2 months ago, whatever it was, 3 months ago, however range, Dante Hightower to be missing him from a linebacking core, the captain of the defense. Could you imagine how much better the defense, which at times was maybe one of the bottom 5 worst defenses in the NFL, how much better this defense would be if they have like a leader, a captain, a stud linebacker that's been in Pro Bowls, and then on the offensive side, to miss a Julian Edelman the entire season. It's almost like everybody talks about the relationship Tom Brady has with Gronk on the field. Well, that's great when Gronk is actually playing because he's rarely played a full season. And when Edelman's been out there, he's been 100-plus reception receiver year in and year out when he's been healthy. And he never even saw the field this year because that injury happened in preseason. This team could be a lot better than what it is, and it's still in the place where we're used to seeing them at the end of the year.
I mean, you look at some of the one thing that is genius about the New England Patriots, and this comes from, if you want to put it this way, so the Bill Parcells sort of philosophy of what you've got, and then if you want to look at that sort of the tree of coaching, so from Parcells you really do get Bill Belichick. I mean, and people do, and I've heard this beforehand about the Belichick way, but those closer to the organization, those closer to what happens, and those in the football world say, well, the Belichick way is kind of the Parcells way. I mean, that's where he got a lot of his thinking.
Completely.
But not to sell the hoodie short. I mean, I think what he has done with the personnel that changes, New England will take that piece of those puzzles, and let's say it doesn't matter who you are. Dave then all of a sudden comes up as my middle linebacker who had a great, he was an All-Pro, maybe it was a Super Bowl year, and Dave Bastel says to the Gillette family, now I want like $200 million a year.
Mm-hmm.
And Bill says, we'll see you later. Bye.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
And he's done it countless times.
We don't care about you now.
Yeah.
You're not in the team. We're on to Russell Graham. What? Yeah, we're on to Russell Graham.
You know what the funniest thing I saw in the last week during the Super Bowl off week was this article by Ian O'Connor, and I'll hold it to you. And it says Patriots will regret hiring Belichick.
Can you? Yeah, I don't know if you can.
Is that?
You wouldn't even be able to get. You'd have to go right up to the camera almost.
I'm not,
so they're going to regret.
I'll go fire this up right.
Okay, so Dave this is the zoom in camera.
Can you see that?
They will regret hiring Bill Belichick. Is he still got a job, that guy?
I don't know. I don't know the guy, but I saw it because they were joking about the article going, I've had plenty of swings and misses in my day.
Sure, we all have.
Don't think
That's a
anybody's
bad
ever
one.
had
Yeah.
a swing and miss like this.
Maybe the guy who invented New Coke. Oh, it's a New Coke. Yeah, disaster. Speaking of disasters, and this was something I talked about earlier on, maybe towards mid-season, maybe even towards the end, where I started talking about the Denver Broncos and saying that the Denver Broncos, that disaster at quarterback, it was just a disease for them. It's really hard. Even, you got Simeon there, and it's just, you need to have a guy that is actually going to lift hardware at some point. Sure, there are organizations that maybe need to bridge between one guy and the other. I think you could argue that Alex Smith maybe was that this year for Kansas City, and Patrick Mahomes, where obviously he's going to be the starter this year. But the Denver Broncos, sort of taking a look at what could lead them into the promised land. It's interesting comments by Von Miller. He said, let's pony up for Kirk Cousins. So if Denver gets Kirk Cousins, does he have what it takes to take them to the promised land? Because for Kirk Cousins, there is always at times so much potential. And even if you just go by the quarterback rating, some of the stats, sort of what he's done, it can look very shiny, very impressive. Is Kirk Cousins good enough to take a Denver Bronco team who do have a real defense and turn them around and get them to the promised land? Because they really, to me, were only a couple of pieces away. The majority of it all hanging off quarterback. If they get that, I mean, he's going to be under tremendous scrutiny because it's like, okay, look at the team you have now.
Bingo. If
you can't do it with this team, or are we saying he's in that category?
Kirk Cousins on the Denver Broncos would mean the Broncos are a playoff team, no doubt. Can they win a Super Bowl? I'm leaning no. but I'm leaning that they're in the conversation of are they in the at least the outlook of possibility of, say somebody knocks off the Patriots or the Steelers fall again, or they're in that conversation just because of how good that defense can be, which has faltered this season, but really not by their own doing. When you're on the field for 45 minutes, Mike, eventually you're going to collapse. Then Denver Broncos did not have an offense, did not have a quarterback. He would make that much of a difference. I'll go as saying wherever he goes, that team could make a significant upgrade to that offense. I hope he actually goes to the New York Jets. I'd like to see him at the Jets if the Jets don't draft the quarterback they want, because then they guide that pick that they have, number 6, somewhere else. Maybe an offensive line.
I hope
maybe
he doesn't go to the Giants. I don't know what it is, but they just.
Well,
I mean,
the Jets.
The Jets.
Yeah,
the Jets.
No, the Giants. The Giants are going to draft the quarterback at number 2. It's almost the sure thing in my eyes. Who is it going to be is the bigger question, because there's already debates.
I don't mind seeing him on the Jets if he goes to the Jets.
Yeah, Kirk Cousins on the Jets. I'd love to see that.
Because I'd be shocked. I mean, that's why, if you're Washington within your own division, you cough up your quarterback and give him to the team that you hate.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that wouldn't be good.
No.
What is good? So let's go back to prop bets. Brought to you by Sports Interaction. Sports Interaction. We love the kids too. Actually, you know what? That's not a good thing to have these days. Who will the MVP thank first?
Yes, if you're the MVP, who are you thanking?
Is team first. That pays a 3.
See, it depends on who it is, right?
Yeah, it
a lot
totally
of people
does.
go God on
go
us
God
there.
first. Look at the terrible numbers for coach.
It's not going to be coach. I like to thank
Terrible
my
numbers
coach.
for coach.
No. If you're sitting there going,
if Tom Brady wins, so let's say it's Tom Brady, which I think that's happened. I'd have to take a look. I'd have to look that up, but I believe it has happened.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Bill wouldn't be first?
No, I don't think Bill would be first. You know what? If
wife?
I would almost go family. If I'm Tom Brady.
Well, and he also got burned by the Boston radio station about his pissant daughter.
Ooh, see, there's another one.
So could that? It says wife partner.
See, and that's,
family is 12.
See, and that's not fair, because it's like the wife is part of the family. So why wouldn't the wife fit into the family bracket?
Because Phil Gray is mean to people.
He is.
Clearly.
I'm gonna have a word, and it's never going to be the city.
Now, what about the owner?
No.
Although
him and Crafty do get along quite well, quite handsomely, as Russell would say.
Here's one that might. Okay, so it's team is a 3. God is a 3.8. Nice for God. God's not first. Coach is $7.45. Owner is a 12. Family is a 12. Wife/partner is a 5.6. The city is a 9. And does not mention anyone is a 3.45. If I'm the MVP, which one do you think I am? Which one?
Does not mention
Yeah,
anyone.
that's it. It'll all be about. Man, stuff I had to do to get here. I got to tell you that, who was throwing that passes? I think it was me. It wasn't the owner, and it certainly wasn't God. So,
you know what? Maybe
I'd thank my sponsor. I'd thank my brand. I'd like to thank Weiser's Rye, the Canadian Club, Alberta Premium, whatever it is.
You know what? Maybe, as a flyer, if you have to bet it, I'd like to thank the great fans of New England.
Yeah, see, that's what I think too. Is
do you know what I mean? Like, it's a heavy price, 2.9. You get 9 with the money.
I think it's a good one. Here's
You going Gatorade on me? What color Gatorade's Belichick going to be dumped on?
No, what is that one? Go ahead.
Well, Gatorade for the coach. Lime, green, or yellow, because they don't want to distinguish the 3, because it is really tough. Is the favorite.
I'm an orange guy too.
Are you an orange guy?
Orange Gatorade.
I'm more of a red guy.
Really?
Guy.
That's the fruit punch one.
It's a fruit punch. Sometimes like a strawberry cherry mix, or even I like the blue stuff. Blue's really tasty. Yeah,
blue's really big.
Well.
I'm a freak for it.
Yeah, orange is actually third on the list. Actually, no, it's not. Wait. Okay, so it goes lime green, yellow is first. Second is orange, and then after that it goes red, blue, clear, purple is the long shot. Purple Gatorade is the long shot.
Here's another special. Tom Brady, his throwing hand. Is it bandaged? Does he bandage that hand?
Ooh, stitches are out. The stitches are out. We know that for sure.
But it's his throwing hand.
Yeah.
You gonna put stitches on that or bandage? Or are they going to do what New England does, which is that whole, he could be hurt. Oh,
Yeah, no kidding.
The question is, will Tom Brady play in the Super Bowl? Yeah, that's not really a question.
No, not really, exactly.
They probably. I'm betting on. Here's one. Click. He's playing. 1.00001. Well, there it is. There's and there'll be more. We'll talk.
Yeah, we'll go. And also, right now they have a piñata pick where you can bet, and it's blindly. So you throw down your wager, and it generates at 25-1 who will be the first Super Bowl touchdown scorer. I've already done that before the show just to see what it was. So I got Tom Brady in one. I got Nelson Aguilar as another. Brent Selleck as another. So I don't really like my numbers that well. But you know, at 25-1, it is a piñata. As soon as that swinging horse is on my screen, I'm clicking on it. Phil Gray knows that.
Well, we'll come back to some of the actual. So those were team bets and prop bets. They're actually Super Bowl, obviously, player props. And those are the ones you sort of look at. You can kind of sink your teeth into some. Some of them make sense. There is value in those as well. But before we get to the player props, we've been looking at some of the, as I said, the reels of kids that go on to play in the NFL. And again, depending on, if you go to Tom Brady because of his age, it actually starts to look like stuff that, was a while ago. Some of these guys have been in the league for like a year. And if they didn't go play all the way to their senior year in university, then high school was like, what, a couple of weeks ago? So it doesn't look that old. But it's really interesting to see that generally it would be that the stud player in university is going to be at least that in high school, if not, and generally, like the best player in the state.
Sure.
Like they're legends. They break all the records. And here's Christian McCaffrey. Now, what high school? Does it say what high school this is?
Valor Christian.
Yeah, but he was he an East Coast guy? I don't know if it says there. But
I don't know.
When you take
Ed was a Denver Bronco for a long time. I think was Ed a Giant as well? His dad.
I'm not sure exactly where the high school was. Does it say on there, Rusty? You know what's interesting when we play some of these clips? Guys freak out when because we're whipping these clips up. Hey, nice research.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't care.
Yeah.
We don't care. I think you want to see the clip. I don't care that
Did they really say that?
And Christian McCaffrey, born 9 pounds 7 ounces, Dave. I don't know that. I'm sorry.
Me neither.
Take a look at when you're in the stands, you're watching high school football. A stud is a stud, but also I think for Canadians when they watch high school football, look at the production and listen to somehow how these games sound to us. It looks like a pro game. And guess what? For Christian McCaffrey, I get probably why Stanford was interested. He's looking. Still looking, Dave. He's got McCaffrey. And here he goes. To the 40, 30. Russell Graham won't get him. And it is a touchdown. He is also, too, just such a smart player. He went to Stanford, so obviously he's got some brains as well. But it's that football IQ that he's got. There's an explosiveness that he does. And it's just, just get him the ball. Going to hand it off? No problem. There he goes. And Graham on the tackle. It's a thing of beauty, and I love his attitude as well. I mean, as I said, it's almost a shame for me that he went to the Panthers. Listen to that. Why can't that be me? It should have been me. And it's all right. Okay.
It's an interesting story.
Yeah. Didn't mean the announcers had to laugh when I said that.
Jeez.
I thought that was
talking about timing.
That was a little bit much.
Jerks.
Richards, yeah, right. Put down the cigar. So, tomorrow we're going to talk to Phil Gray. We'll talk about maybe some of this. Maybe we'll come up with a specialized bet and a number that relates only to the show, because I think that's what Stephen Rapp was talking about.
Okay.
I wonder if we can get that in before the actual game. If we go back to some of the bets that the prop bets for fun, and once again, here's your prop bet music. Come on, get off here. Oh, I love laptops. Here we go. For all prop bets, brought to you by Sports Interaction. Here we have the player props. to have 100-plus receiving yards. Gronk pays a 3. Now, look, they're going to be all – I mean, who do you think he's throwing to? Amendola is a 6. 6 times your money. But you also have Brandon Cooks at 325.
He's a deep threat guy.
Right.
More than Amendola. Amendola is basically the Edelman replacement right now, right?
Alshon Jeffrey pays a 4.5. That's a tough one because, you know, if
you know what I'm going to say? I'm
What?
going to say there will not be a receiver in this game that hits 100.
I think that's why the numbers are so high. Like 100 yards receiving is a pretty good game.
No, it's a fantastic game.
And
You're playing week 6.
but they're playing an awfully good defense. Does Gronk
exactly.
got 100 yards? I don't think Philadelphia allows that. Total pass receptions for Gronk. Does he get 5 receptions? See,
It's a lot of catches. It's a lot of catches.
the under pays a 2. The 5, even in a good game. So if he gets 100 yards, then it's probably over 5. But I
Yes.
don't know if he's getting 5.
Exactly.
And it's a kind of skank number 2. It's not a 4.5 or 5.5. It's a 5. I mean, that to me almost screams of a push too. Amendola, the over/under for him is 4.5.
So he has to hit 5.
I say Amendola gets, but it pays a 177.
Yeah.
But if you're looking at a decent number that probably is going to happen, I would take Amendola at a 177.
The only thing I'll say with Amendola, he's in a situation where he's covered by their inside DBs. One of them is a Pro Bowler. I'm pretty sure I know what his assignment's going to be, and it's going to be Danny Amendola. So careful with the protection of a pretty decent secondary with the Eagles.
See, here's another one. Brandon Cooks so it's 4.5. So if he catches 5, it pays a 183.
Yeah,
He could get the ball 5 times.
he could. Yep.
Because if Nick Foles is looking for someone that he's going to go to, you're going to think it's going to be him.
I'm a big fan of the dump pass, so I'm looking at guys like James White.
Deion Lewis is a
Jay
177 for 4.5. So
Yeah.
5 receptions in a game.
And I think last game against Jacksonville, he hit 9,
Yeah.
7 to 9, somewhere in that range.
I think that's a pretty good number.
Yeah, it's a pretty good number. It's a very good number.
Total receiving yards, you've got that. Listen, we'll go over a bunch of them obviously with Phil Gray tomorrow. MVP, Brady is a 177, followed by Nick Foles way back at a 4.3.
Oof.
See, this is a really interesting one because obviously you go with name brand, you go with history, resume, comfort in the game, all that kind of stuff. No one's ever sat where
No.
Tom Brady is right now. So, I mean, it's not like this is a big game, but for him, it's big game number 9?
Yeah.
Or,
No, I know.
it
See, and the thing is, because it's the quarterback position in the biggest game of the year, it's usually going to be one or the other, right? Because, let's just
Foles
say,
pays a 4.3.
well, let's just say hypothetically Gronk catches 3 touchdowns, but Tom Brady throws 4. Who do you think's really going to be the MVP of this game?
Yep.
I mean, and that's a fantastic game for Gronk. 3 touchdown catches and whatever amount of yards, but Tom Brady throws for 4 and 400. It's like, well, Tom Brady's the MVP. I never thought that would happen.
It's like
yeah, you did.
Touchdown scores is kind of tough because, I mean, you're really spinning the wheel depending on where it could go. I mean, people are going to lead with, Gronk and Deion Lewis and stuff. But to me, you have to kind of look at the kind of game it's going to be when you start looking at not first scores and not even necessarily scores itself, just what players' performance would be. For instance, first QB to pass for 100-plus yards. Is it Foles or is it Brady? If I'm looking at these numbers, Brady only pays a 1.6, so it's a skank. I'm not interested in a 1.6. So do I look at Foles at throwing? If he's going to have to air it out more, does Philadelphia in this game, by percentage, throw more than the Patriots? That's the question you're asking yourself.
Right.
And if you think that the Eagles feel that they can throw, maybe it's even dump passes, do they feel that they can throw on New England, then you're probably taking Foles at a 2-2.
Yeah, and by the way, Nick Foles' last game against a pretty decent Viking defense was 26 of 33 passing. So he tossed it up 33 times for about 352.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's going to be a matching of what he did there, but that's what he did against the Vikings at home.
Well, in order to kind of get a semblance, you just have to figure out, again, it goes to matchups, not who's better than who. It doesn't matter. This is a one-off. It's that total matchup. Do we really believe that in this game, number one, if you're starting with just the number, that it is more than a field goal game? Do we think that the winner is winning by more than a field goal? So if you're seeing that number drop to 4.5 from 6.5, because if you got in early, I thought 5.5 probably was a great number to get in on.
Going back to the MVP for a second, just getting a text, and this is interesting because it's another topic of conversation maybe tomorrow, but we'll call this guy to protect his identity the Emperor of Tomorrow. So the Emperor of Tomorrow says, how about somebody on the Pats defense as a long shot because Foles may crap his pants, and what about if New England picks him off 3 dimes or something, or picks up 2 interceptions plus a fumble?
That number's going to be big.
That's right.
Good
thought process, Emperor of Tomorrow.
Yeah, but is it conceivable? Yeah, I think it probably. There's a lot of tangibles to this game, and again, what you try not to get sucked into is reputation. And who has a big reputation and maybe one of the biggest in pro sports? Well, you'll be watching it on Sunday. So the tendency is to go that way, and there's a reason for it. That's why they call it gambling, Dave. I hate when people say that.
No, I know.
I was like, I had a parlay.
Those are the people that don't.
I just lost I lost Virginia Tech last night. Well, Mike, don't say it.
Yeah.
Don't say it.
Exactly.
Unless, of course, you lose and you go, I see you didn't win your bet because of the loss with Virginia Tech. Yeah. Thanks.
What?
Yeah.
Become best friends. Yep.
I lost on a real bad school last night, too.
You want to go do karate in the garage? Yep.
Yeah.
It's time.
Long Beach State. Had to wait up all that time. Long Beach State. So tomorrow we'll have the spectacular Phil Gray, who's now, is it a hockey career that he believes that he has? I
think he has something going on for him, yeah. But we're definitely going to have to bring back Howard Cosell to introduce him.
Let's get ready to rumble.
Remember, go to Sports Interaction, and when you get to that drop-down menu, make sure you put in Raw Mike Richards. We'll go over it all tomorrow.
Yes.
So for the big game, we'll give you the money to bet with, up to $200. You put $200 in, they will match you up to $200. We'll get more to that tomorrow. Super Bowl, it's coming.